Hi there, it's sylviaworsham. Welcome to Focus Fridays and welcome to the segment on Trust Your God Instincts. And this morning I had the thought, you need to talk about this. This is something that's very important for people to learn about. And I've often been asked, how do you know? How do you know if it's just a thought that your conscious mind is thinking versus a God instinct? And I don't think they're gut instincts. I call them God instincts when I coach others one-on-one or even in my masterminds. And I wanted to start off with a story, and this is a story I have in my first book on transitions. And it's during a time of a lot of turmoil in my life. I'd been divorced for at least 3 years. I was a single mom to a young son, and I was ready to start dating again. It was in that transitional period. And I planned to go to this party in Houston, Texas that two friends of ours, now Kelly, Trish, and her husband, Scott, had told me about months before. And they said, your Donnie would be a great person for you to meet. And Donnie's my second husband. So now you know how that story ends. And a week before I was scheduled to go to Houston from South Texas, my company, Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, decides to restructure. And when I mean restructure, I mean in my division where I could potentially lose my job. And now realize I'm a single mom. Once again, I have a lot of responsibilities. I have a lot of financial responsibilities, and I'm a very different person back then. I'm someone who seeks security in her finances. So I don't make choices to put my finances in jeopardy. That was not someone who I was back then. I was a certainty seeker pattern. That was very, very strong in me. And I wanted very much to go to the party, but that other side of me that fearful side was pushing me in the other direction. But there was one persistent thought that kept pushing me for that whole week. And the thought was, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go. And I thought, wow, is this God telling me to go, or is this I'm wanting to go? How did I know that? And how I knew that it was God versus one of my thoughts was, one, I had a very strong relationship with Christ. I journal daily, and in my writing is where I found God and connected to the mind of God. I constantly cleared my mind, and I could tell intuitively when it was God speaking to me versus me. And the other way I could tell was it was totally uncharacteristic of me to go to a party like that when I knew what was happening in my finances potentially. And it was not something I would have thought of myself. My fearful state would have kept me on the other side of the spectrum. So I knew that this was a God instinct, this was a God moment. And that's the second element. The third way I knew was the moment I made the decision to go to Houston and drive to Houston, that fear and that doubt and that distrust erased. Like I did not feel it at all in my body. I was in total alignment to my soul's purpose, to align to my soul's wishes and desires. And in fact, it was a God instinct to go to Houston. And obviously there's obvious reasons for that. This is where I met my second husband. I was completely out of my comfort zone. But once I stepped into the uncomfortable part, God was with me, and I no longer felt doubt. I was very confident. I was very persistent in my pursuit to go to Houston. And those were the three ways I knew. But once again, it needs you to be quiet every day, to quiet your mind, because there's just so many thoughts that go through our mind. How can you tell? But when you make a commitment to connect to the mind of God daily, one. The second element is it's something uncharacteristic, something that you normally wouldn't have done. if you allow your thoughts to control you, I would not have gone through with it. And third and final, when you make the decision to step into the uncomfortable uncertainty in times of transition and you feel confident and the doubt and the fear is gone, it is definitely a God instinct. I'm Sylviaworsham. Thank you so much for tuning in to this segment of Trust Your God Instincts. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Love y'all. Bye now.